got a feel for what I like. I don't know if it's something that other people would like, but it was one of those things where now I'm comfortable with it. Changing a spring. If something's not right, I'm pretty sure I know exactly what it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I envy you then. It would take me maybe a whole day to understand what's wrong. But I learned a lot with Caesar. It was really going from just guessing to, okay, I'm going to try these first, and I'm going to try that first. And then if it's not these things that I know, then I'm lost. But usually it's always the same stuff.
What type of machines is he using? Is it like a rotary, or is he
doing coil? He does rotary, but rotary is just is that, isn't it? It's just the motor and the what's the name?
Yeah, the cam, I guess. Yeah, but they all have different mechanisms, like the direct drive that just spins, and then they have and
then the one with the sliding thing. We done something really cool. So once I went back in Italy, and I found in my old stuff my first tattoo machine. Guess which one it was?
Mickey Sharp's?
No. we're talking about early 90s.
Okay, probably a Spalding.
Yeah. It was the Puma. I had the Puma and the Supreme. Fantastic. I found the Supreme. I said, I wonder if because I remember Cham once told me, said, if you, because we started with the same stuff, with the starter kit, and we were talking about that, and said, Enzo, if you find your old machine, that frame is worth to keep. Yeah. But I couldn't find it. Then when I went back to live in Italy for 2 years, then my dad says, this is a bunch of your stuff. A lot of rubbish. And I went through this stuff, and I found these old machines. I said, I wonder if I can do something with these. Brought it to Caesar, said, look, I found these. It was like, how much do you want?
Really?
What do you want for it?
Should I have a couple?
I don't want anything. It's just, you can have it. And then we swapped. He made a machine for me, and I gave him that one. And he rebuilt it. He said he was going to auction it. But then one of his mates from America, he just fell in love with it. I said, I want it. And I gave it to him. So I didn't have a chance to see it working again.
Right. But it's funny, I have a couple of those machines, and I didn't think they're worth anything, because I think Spalding and Rogers is still selling them. Is it the older ones?
I have no idea. Didn't even try to look up for it. The one when I was using them, they were like toys.
Yeah, of course.
Do nothing. Do nothing. And I don't know how many tattoos I've done.
It'd be cool if your friend could have rebuilt it like an old Rollomatic.
I think he done some of that. He said he was gonna do it. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. He can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He was trying to teach me to weld, and I almost burned down the shop, the workshop. And it's really hard. It's like, how am I supposed to weld something that is that small, and with this super hot thing, but you don't see it? Because when you turn it on, you don't see anything.
Is it brazing or welding? You have the mask on?
You had the mask.
Okay,
so the mask, and you had this tiny little gun.
Yeah.
There's MIG and TIG.
Yeah.
But I don't remember which one it was. And so you have to learn. So you have to learn. I'll show you. And he showed me how to do it. And then I got super hot and didn't weld anything. It just got super hot. And then it dropped, and it went on the floor, and it dug a hole through the floor. And then she said, maybe it's enough for today.
Yeah, maybe I'm done showing you how to.
Imagine if he went through my foot.
Oof.
Don't think that would have been very funny.
That would ruin your evening.
Yeah, it's definitely. And his workshop.
But that's cool. He was willing to kind of show you a couple things.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, he taught me some things. But I don't remember, because you have to keep doing it, and I've done a little bit, and then it was a time where I wasn't tattooing very much, because I was back from back at home after the 2 years, and he said, why don't you do this with me full time and maybe tattoo part time?
Now, where is this, in England, or
this is in England?
Okay. And when you were talking about going back home, you were talking about going back to Italy?
And now back home, it means Norwich.
Okay, Norwich.
Home is Norwich. It's not Naples.
Mm-hmm.
And that was made it real, isn't it? Because it's now at that point you're choosing not to be tattooing full time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No, man. No, I can't. That's not possible. And then I thought, this is what I'm meant to do. I was born to do this. Even if I'm not going to be the most amazing tattooist, it doesn't matter because I can only do this. This is the only job I've ever done.
Yeah.
All of my life.
You haven't had any job,
No.
bagging groceries or...
No,
nothing.
I used to help my dad when I was very young and I had a holiday at school. My dad is a hairdresser.
Okay.
And would help him, like swapping the floor and hold the hair dryer, the shampoo, the old women. I hated it so much. It really sucked. Super boring. Never had that hot woman in this. So they were old, always old.
Getting their permanents.
the perm, yeah.
Getting their hair set for the weekend.
But it's funny because it was thanks to my dad that I started tattooing.
Really? What transpired there?
Well, you ready for the whole story? You want the whole story?
Yeah, the whole story. Why not?
So, where I grew up in Naples, it's very bad neighborhood. You would see proper like criminals, ex-convict, and people with bad tattoos and that look pretty badass. And I thought that was amazing. I was like, what is it? What's that? Because I think every kid drew on themselves, right? Yeah. Like just do drawings and it's like natural. What is that? Like, are you telling me that I can have a drawing that will never go away? And so that I want that. And this I was a kid because it was the very beginning. So then when I got a bit older and I went to high school and met other kids that would be a bit more alternative. Between these kids, there was a guy that he had tattoos, and I said, "Oh wow, where did you get that? How do you do it?" And he said, "You can do it yourself." And he explained it to me. I said, "Oh, cool, I'm gonna try." So I went home, and one afternoon, I was a bit like a metalhead. I had very long hair and like big earrings and bracelets and all that stuff. And one was a scorpion, and I put it on my wrist. I said, I think I can make a tattoo with this.
Let me see this.
And this is my first tattoo.
It's so funny.
So I rang my friend and said, "Tell me again how you did that thing with the tattoo." He said, "Oh man, you take a needle and take some ink and just push it into the skin and then go over and over and over with the ink. Make sure you put the ink in." Cool. So I done that, and the ink was the one out of a biro. So I squeezed the ink out of the biro. And I used a sewing needle. But like if you just put the needle on top of your skin, it doesn't go in because you have to stretch it. But sure. I didn't know that, so I would push, and then it was really painful. I said, "Oh, that hurt." And then I went, as he said, again and again and again, and then would do 3 dots, man, and that's it. You can't really.
I think I hear Henning.
We were just about to get naked. I know.
You know.
I'm not kidding.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We can take a pause. We're on again.
Right, so you do 3 dots and then it was swollen because 3 dots it was like 20 times each dot, and then you have to leave it for a couple of weeks, and then I would go back and do 3 more dots
on this the small little tattoo.
This one. So it took me forever, and then I had to hide it, right? So my dad sees this thing and he's, "What have you done? You don't do this. We're a decent family. No one in our family does this stuff. Noi queste cose nella famiglia nostra non li facciamo perché noi siamo gente per bene." That was early 90s. You would not see people with tattoos. You just would not see them. It was the beginning, but this is Naples. And things in Naples always happen like 4 years later than everywhere else. So yeah, he wasn't really happy. And then one day I was at his hairdresser saloon, and he was with one of his mates, which just had a tattoo. And so my dad was taking the piece, basically, was saying, "Oh yeah, he done a tattoo himself. Look at that." And then the guy said, "Oh really? You can do it?" What do you mean? What do you mean? Done this one. So, because I had this one, and he showed me this lion's head that was Well, for me, it was amazing because I'd never seen a tattoo.
Of course.
It wasn't amazing. It was rubbish. But at the time, you never seen it. That was incredible. I said, oh, wow, cool. And then he started to talk about this tattoo with my dad. And then my dad goes like, oh, maybe you could do that. I was like, really? Yeah. Maybe we can get in touch with your auntie. I told you I have family in the US.
Sure.
You could do that. Now, my family is working class family. We never had money. I never, when I was a kid, my dad could afford to give me what was at the time 10 euros, and that would have to last me the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a little moped, and I also had to put some money for the petrol in this little moped. So he saw that as, that you could do this and earn a bit of money. I did not care about the money. The me was like, yes, I'm going to have a tattoo machine in my hands, and I'm going to tattoo myself. And then my dad turns around and says, but you have to promise you don't tattoo yourself. I was like, come on, Dad. I can't promise that. Well, all right, just don't do too many. And then we left like that. And then it was my dad that, he wanted me to start. And so my auntie came over. I was, I think it was about 17. And everything happened about a year later. My uncle actually came over from the US, and they had the Spalding Rogers starting kit.
Okay. They got it for you, or
they got it for me.
Okay.
They got it for me, and it was a present, so I didn't even have to pay for that. And then I started tattooing. I had no idea how to do it. I didn't even know how to put the needle in the machine. And I had this book, Tattooing from A to Z.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It was amazing, but I couldn't speak any English, couldn't read anything English, like not even a word, nothing. So I was looking for people to help me to translate, and I had, there was a friend of mine that was with a girl in a NATO base,
mm-hmm.
and we went there and said, I can translate it for you in exchange for a tattoo. I said, yeah, man, sure, of course, because practice as well. But then she couldn't translate it. In the meanwhile, I was trying, and I was looking at the pictures, and there was no internet, there was nothing.
No, yeah.
And everything was just very hard, and information was very precious.
And what year was this? Sorry to interrupt.
I tattooed the first human being in October 1993.
Okay.
I tattooed somebody else first, not myself. But the second person was me.
Yeah. Because
I just couldn't wait. I had to tattoo myself. I just had to have this tattoo. And so what was the point?
Sorry, I fucked it up.
I wanted the very hard thing was the stencil.
Mm-hmm.
The stencil was a mystery, because how does it work? How do I? And then I would go with this my dad's friend. How did you do your one? I said, I don't know, man. He had the pen, and then he went on the carbon paper, and he traced with a pen, and then he put with the deodorant stick,
yeah.
And then he transferred. I said, I don't understand. When I tried with many things, to try the carbon paper, it wouldn't work, because it would only work with a specific carbon paper.
Yeah, of course.
At the end, I guess I started to draw with a biro, and that was this guy that I knew that he offered to be the first one to get a tattoo, and I tattooed this panther head. But it was just these with a rose,
just the face,
not the head, just the face and
the eyes, nose, and mouth.
And that was off a magazine. Now, tattoo magazine, never seen tattoo magazine. And my auntie brought this tattoo magazine, and I see this stuff, the magazine, and it was one with Philippe Leroux, and there was some stuff, black and grey, fine lines. It was Jack Rudy.
Yeah.
It was those times, and it was incredible. I just couldn't believe, because you actually do these as a tattoo. That was like a revelation. And I was very much into fantasy art, and I said, "Wow, okay, so I can do the fantasy art as tattoos," because you would see that, right? You would see that.
Yeah,
my hero,
the old biker stuff,
Yeah. Old biker. My hero of all of them, it was Mick from Zurich.
Yes,
because he was doing that at the time. He was doing that. So yeah, done the first tattoo. And I was like, I'm so good at this. And I cracked it. I know how to do this. And obviously, after doing that panther head, I tattooed myself, and I tattooed this one.
Let me see this.
And this, oh man, the story is ridiculous.
You have to tell me what that is.
So this is also from a magazine, and I just copied the tattoo that this guy had. This is a Triton, I guess, or a merman.
Okay.
This is the head. This is the back, the spine, and then it goes into a tail.
Now I see it. Yeah.
And this one is about 25 years old, and you can still see some colors, a blue there. There was some pink. And this one,
so hard to tattoo your own forearm.
but I used to do. So I done it like that in front of the mirror.
Jeez.
I'm tattooing like that, and I was with a girl at the time that she could draw, so she would help me to draw something with a biro if I couldn't make it. Help me to stretch or move my arm. So this was amazing. I'm so good at these, and I can do all these tattoos. And that's why I wanted to do all the fantasy stuff and the realism. But it wasn't like today's realism.
No, it's different. I mean,
yeah, it was different because you didn't have a digital camera and you didn't have Facebook, so you would see that when it was healed. So it had to be something that would hold.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I really like that line of thinking that you were talking about. Like back in the day, you would only see healed tattoos.
Yeah, because it has to be about that. The one that goes around, that it does your advert, is the heel tattoo. But now we got this amazing thing. We can take a picture, and then everybody can see that. And so that it matters more than the heel tattoo.
Right.
I call it not fake. I call it an alternative reality.
Yeah.
Because it is true. It's not entirely fake.
No, it's true. That's exactly what it looks like fresh. But it's always nice to see a heel tattoo just because you can always tell what it's going to look like for the rest of your life, not for that first day of having it. And my line of thinking for tattooing is not that first fresh tattoo photo. It's how is it going to age? And so a lot of the decision making that I make is based on what it's going to look like 10 years, 20 years from now. Those decisions. Yeah,
but that seems to be less important somehow today.
Nowadays,
it is important, obviously, for me, but I think it stays true into that reality and the digital world, and that doesn't really matter. After a few days, that's old. In a week, there will be millions of other tattoos we can see on Instagram or any other digital media. So that it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But if you want to live in that reality, I'm a bit off of that reality because I don't know how to make it work.
Yeah.
But no, it's not just that. Not just that. It is a bit annoying. It is a bit annoying. I do live that frustration. Not all the times. Most of the times now. I'm very happy because, I shouldn't say this to the world, but it is fucking amazing, isn't it? Yeah. People actually pay you to do something that you like.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. Yeah. I feel so lucky.
And it's funny when I get those tattoos that I don't necessarily want to do, after I kind of throw a little temper tantrum in my head, I have to come back to that thought. Fuck, I'm just drawing pictures on people.
Yeah.
That's how I make a living.
If you go back to that, it saves you. It saves your day. But yeah, I do sometimes live the frustration that dedicated all of my life to these, and then the next kid comes with a fucking iPad and that's fucking amazing tattoos because it's also really good.
Yeah.
But as my friend Owen says, every tattoo is a blessing, and it is.
Totally.
I think I was a bit more childish before living the frustration of not tattooing. Because when I went in Italy for 2 years, I had a really bad time. It wasn't working in no possible way. So I would be even sometimes 2 weeks without doing a tattoo.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. It's really bad. And no, it's not your choice. It's just that's not happening.
Yeah.
I don't blame nobody else than myself. I think it's called empathic. I think I'm a very empathic person. And if I get a connection, which is something I value a lot, if I get that connection, you will know that I like you. As much as you will know if I don't like you. And I almost didn't like anybody.
Right.
Just didn't want to be there.
Do you think it was more the kind of way of thinking you came into Napoli with, or was it something happened there that kind of just turned you off?
I think I convinced myself that moving back to Italy, it would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I left Naples, it wasn't because I wasn't happy. I just wanted to experience live in another country. A few things had happened that then I decided to do this thing. And because I had my little shop in Naples for 6 years, the one I had 6 years, and it was going really well, and I was tattooing a lot. But at the time, the level was very mediocre. And I was very popular. And I think I was popular not because I was good, but because people liked me. Mm-hmm. And it was a happy environment. So people like to come and get tattooed by me. So I thought like, oh yeah, when I go back, it's going to be like it used to be. I'm going to have a lot of customers. I'm going to have a lot of friends, and I'm going to be with my family. But then I went back, and
it wasn't what you planned.
because I was somebody else. You know, I had grown up, and the only thing I had to worry when I was young is where to go partying.
Sure.
And, you know, wherever I go, like, everybody knew me. But nobody hears from you for 12 years. It's like you're dead.
Right.
There is no, this guy doesn't exist anymore. So I had no customers, nothing to do. And I didn't really want to be there. I was there because I had to break something that was going really bad. And that worked. That worked because I think I hit the bottom. And then I could see things from a different perspective. And I guess also tattooing, because this was just my personal life. It had nothing to do with tattooing. Mm-hmm. But I would go back in Norwich to do guests, and then when I would go there, then I would tattoo the big stuff, you know, the sleeves that I left unfinished, and then it seemed that everybody was waiting for me, and I was like, oh, this is so amazing. I don't want to go back to the Naples. Uh-huh. But only after maybe less than a year, speaking with my girlfriend, said, would you like to go back? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, me too. Let's go back.
Was she born in Italy as well?
She was born in Italy, yeah, but mum is English.
And then you guys met where?
We met in England.
Okay.
We grew up there, basically. You went from young adult to be adult there. Mm-hmm. So different. Now, you know, now I had a family, and I had a kid, and I had to worry about other stuff.
Right.
I had to worry about, I haven't done any tattoos, I haven't got any money.
Yeah, when you have a family, that's a lot more difficult not to tattoo for 2 weeks.
Yes, it's very, very different. But we had a lot of help from family, so it wasn't that bad. And then when we got back, I was so happy. It was everything. Could see from a very different point of view. Every tattoo was a blessing, and I was just happy to tattoo everything. The way I started, I didn't want to do that hard work of getting involved in a scene. I wanted to be out of everything. I didn't want to do conventions, and didn't want to be friends with a guy next door. I didn't want to go. I had some friends that were tattooing, but they were nice. You know, they were like, I found them being genuinely nice, not having a second interest in being nice, not being nice because they want to know how you're doing the shading or what color you're using.
They were just plain nice.
Yeah. And I'm still friend with one of them that done most of my tattoos in Naples. Many things have changed when I moved to England that was 2004. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because I had a customer that he was a very interesting person. He was schizophrenic, maybe very dangerous. Maybe because he was not very tall, but very muscly. Mm. But I would have the most amazing chat with this guy, and he said, "I think, Enzo, that you are an artist, and an artist should travel and experience different cultures. Mm. You shouldn't be just here." I said, yeah, you're right. I'm going to do this. So this schizophrenic guy gave me good advice.
Good advice, yeah.
And so when I moved there, you know what? I didn't want to tattoo. I wanted to do other things. and I couldn't speak any English, so I had to go to school. And it was my girlfriend who convinced me to go to school. If you don't want to sound like a goat when you speak English, you have to go to school. That's the way to learn English. I said, okay, yeah, cool, I'll do that. And remember, I had to save up a lot of money, so I wasn't worried about working or stuff. So, okay, I'll do that. And I went to school. I learned English. It took me a whole school year. Mm-hmm. You know, when you start to listen to the radio in another language and you can actually understand.
Sure.
It was amazing. And then I thought, like, right, okay, so I'm going to have to look for a job now because I have no excuses. I can understand. And I looked through the job site, and there is that looking for a tattooist. How random is that? It's just like, well, maybe I should ring. So I ring this guy, and I couldn't understand a word. It's the only thing I could understand. It was like, to me, it sounded like, what? And I was like, shit. So I had to go there. So I went there to meet these people, and I had my portfolio with these pictures, and they were like, oh man, you know a lot more than what we know, so the position is yours.
Oh, wow.
But you have to teach us. I'm like, yeah, you give me work, and it's no problem, I'll teach you. Say, yeah, you're gonna give you a lot of work. And that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. It was like tattooing, like every day is boom, 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 boom. That was almost summer, and I had finished the English school, and now my brain is active, you know, like now my brain is doing something I hadn't done for years. And now I want to go to uni. I don't want to do just tattoos. I want to do more. I want to learn. I want to do stuff. And I wanted to do illustration at first because there's always been a fixation of mine to do, like, you know, go back to the fantasy style and do the illustration thing. But I ended up doing a degree course in contemporary art. And that was different, and it was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you go to the Contemporary Museum and says, what the hell is this shit?
I know. Did you learn how to bullshit, you know?
I think I was good at bullshitting already, but I got better. But I learned a lot. And I think what was good, it made my process of thinking different.
Yeah.
That I understood what it means to research and contextualize. So that was great. That was fantastic. And now I was less interested in tattooing. It was still in my life. Mm-hmm. The course, this thing, when it was very interesting, because first year, didn't want nothing to do with tattoos. I was doing a lot of video art, and I was very interested in conceptual art. And I learned printing, which was just love. It was just love. It was fantastic. Printing is been amazing. And it was screen printing. And then I tried woodcut.
That was difficult.
Not for me. Not for me. Woodcut, not for me. I just couldn't get what I wanted. And then etching. Etching was incredible. Super nice. But you need the lab, right?
Yeah,
you need a proper workshop.
The ventilation, all the acids. Yeah. It's too much.
Mainly I was doing video art. You know, I would go around with the camera and filming and then bashing it together and doing these things. The tutor I had at the first year, he introduced me to, I don't know if you ever heard of something called Situationist International.
No, never heard of it.
It's this guy called, I have to remember now because I'm going to go back. I think he's called Guy Debord. He's a French philosopher.
Okay.
This is the 1950s.
Okay.
He was saying that because the sight is the winner sense, the one that takes over, everything is like what we see. Mm-hmm. If he was alive now, he would be like, oh my God, I knew it. Because, man, we're stuck with this bloody phone and you can't help it. You have to look. How many things do we look at in a day? And what we do, when we put pictures on people with blood. That is what he was saying. Because then everything, it gets turned into this, what he calls the spectacle.
Okay.
This thing that takes over, and then it changed everything. So he was also very left-winged and a bit Marxist. And, you know, there was the concept of when you look at television, it's like you are passively laboring because you're consuming a product.
Sure.
then so you are working for, I don't know, the next advert that's going to come up. Right. So you make it, that machine, you're activating that machine. So I was very interested in this, and this also very slowly allowed tattooing back into my life. I was still tattooing yet to support myself. Then it was all about that, because now I was looking at tattooing in a very different way. It was more artistic, but I don't think tattoo is art. It can be art, but the artist is not the tattooist; it's the customer, because he's expressing himself. He chooses to come to get tattooed by you. You don't go in a shop and buy a customer to tattoo like you buy a canvas. So even just that, it already says everything. Now people would argue with these like forever.
Sure.
About like art and tattooing as a form of art. I would call it a craft. A beautiful, magical craft. And I really like it, because then going back to these things, this concept, this guy Debord, and this situation is international. Tattooing is a piece of resistance, because it is shit that you get television shows about tattooing. It is shit that there is a convention in every town. This is in Italy. There's a convention in every town. And, it's a business, and the industry has been milked in any possible way. And this is the society of spectacle. This is what the guy was talking about. Everything that is anti-conformist or subversive, it gets turned into the actual thing that you're fighting. Because this is what's happening. It happens with everything. The punk scene was subversive. It was anti-conformist. And now it's just a trend. Yeah. And then at the end it was been absorbed in this monster spectacle that everything else is. But tattooing somehow it resists to that.
Yeah, but I think it's slowly getting chewed up. It's held out for whoever was alive before. Like, this newer generation is definitely a part of that conformity.
There's people that they're still doing it in a very different way. They're still believing into that magic, and they're keeping it alive. And I think there will always be people like that, because I don't think you can turn the actual tattooing totally into that spectacle. You can't. I don't think you can do it tattooing. And sooner or later, it won't be that fashionable anymore.
Yeah, of course. I think of it, those TV shows that used to have the rebuilding your motorcycle shows, or the new hot rod. It's like, when those shows were going on, everybody was a biker. Everybody had a new sports car that was souped up, and you don't really see that anymore. So I think it's just a matter of time with tattooing, and hopefully it will be for the people who actually still like tattoos and wanted them because they had an honest desire to get tattooed, and not because it was out of like some sort of trend of like, oh, I need to get this feather on my wrist tattoo.
What you said something I really like, when they say I need to get this. You don't need to. You need to eat. You need to drink. You need to pay for rent of your house, because otherwise you're going to sleep with your ass in the street. You don't need to get tattooed, but you still say, I do need to get tattooed. Yeah. That's magic. That is magic right there. Maybe I'm too romantic, but I like to believe in it. Because what the hell, if somebody doesn't do it, who's going to do it?
Well, it was definitely something that I think it's a romantic thing for me. I go back and forth all the time of what's going on with tattooing? It's out of control, and then at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, it's in control in my hearts. And
yeah. I think it's better than ever, because we have so much now. It is a bit like, oh man, I would like because when in my town, I was the only one that could draw you what you wanted. That was my strong point. But now everybody can do that. Yeah. So it's not like special anymore. It's amazing to see, like, when you were tattooing that guy today. Wow, this is so beautiful. I see endings tattoos are always so beautiful. It's amazing you go and see this. So great. There is a guy that does that. And if you go back the times, when you say the old timers, I mean, I don't want to sound offensive, but And the old timers I know, they were a piece of shit. They didn't want to share anything with anybody. That's the one I know. Yeah, I never met the famous old timers. You know, the legends. But you know, they wouldn't share anything. When I wanted to go and ask the guy in the town, how do you do the stencil? I said, you go. Let me know where you are. I'm gonna come and break your fingers to make sure you don't do it. because it was about money. It was about money. And then later you got people that it was about art, if you want. And then it's gonna be like the fuck up with the shows, and that comes later.
Yeah, definitely. It's time. We should wrap it up. Okay. But usually what I like to do is find out where we can find you.
I'm a resident Black Dog Tattoos in Norwich, UK, almost always. And hopefully more regularly at Royal Tattoo.
And your name's Enzo, but I didn't catch your last name.
Oh, my last name is Barbareschi.
Barbareschi.
Yeah.
Okay. When we look for you on Instagram.
And my Instagram name is Enzo Tattoo Norwich. And tattoo is spelled T-A-T and the number 2.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure having you on, and I loved working with you this week.
Yeah, I had so much fun. It was great to meet you.
And thanks for showing me your back.
I like to show my ass to everybody.
Give me a hug.